Coach Nasser is here. And we have Ashan Ali here. He's also the management person. So the journey, the 4 weeks free classes journey is ending. And I'm sad that some of you guys will be leaving this program, but your journey should not end over here. No matter what you do, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about your roadmap, what you should do. All right, folks, so let's continue over here. Sorry about that. So we started with bare metals, and bare metals have CPU, RAM, and HP. And what we used this bare metal server was basically to run a operating system, one operating system over here. And then this one operating system was running applications, multiple applications. And to give you an example of an application, go anywhere today, go to grocery store, Walmart, go to CVS, go to Chase Bank, go to Bank of America, any place where you go, at the end of the day, they have a point of sale system, right? Which is running point of sale, basically a cashier register, where they're punching in the numbers and they're scanning your stuff. And at the end of the day, and if you go to bank, if you go to CVS, and CVS, there's a prescription pharmacist over there basically handling your prescription. And they open up your information by punching in your name and your date of birth and your last 4 digits for your social security. They are using that application. That application, the very application was running on this bare metal server, running on this OS. It could be one of this application. Now, if you're a bank, you went to JP Morgan Chase, the teller that takes your information, that look at your debit card, or when you swipe the debit card, this application the teller is using is running on the Bank of America physical servers, which is running an operating system. And this could be the application. Just like that, it could be another application. So this is an example of the application. From this, we basically transition into, ladies and gentlemen, something called virtualization. Virtualization was that you have a server over here, the same server, ladies and gentlemen, that has a CPU, that has a RAM, and that has a hard drive, right? And a network card over here, right? Now, the same hardware now can be converted into a virtualized platform by installing a VMware software on top of this, VMware. And this is the virtualization layer. Okay. And now this virtualization is allowing you to create multiple machines. And imagine if this machine had 32 CPUs, 50 gigabyte RAM, and 1 terabyte hard drive. Now you would give this one 4 CPU, and you would give this one 10 GB RAM, and maybe 500 maybe 50 gigabyte hard drive. So the resources over here are divided among these two machines. Now on these two machines, you could literally install any operating systems, OS. So what you're doing over here is you still have a bare metal in your data center, and that bare metal now needs to install another layer of the software. And now this layer of the software gave you some logical machines over here, which is basically a logical representation of your bare metal server over here. And now you have the ability to basically have, before you had only one operating system, now you have 2 operating systems, or maybe 3 operating systems running in parallel. In parallel, they could be independent. They are independent of each other, any operating system you want. So what did you save in this? Using the same server, now you have 3 operating systems running. And on top of those operating systems, you could be running applications in parallel, right? So You're using the same power supply to power up this machine, and now you're getting more out of this physical box because 32 CPUs could be sitting idle if the one operating system might be using 4 or 6 CPUs. So this is virtualization, VMs, virtual machines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the next phase over here is, like I mentioned you, now the next phase is the cloud. In the cloud picture, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to buy any physical server and any physical devices. You don't need to buy the CPU. You don't need to buy the server that has a CPU, RAM, and a hard drive. You don't need to buy it. What you will do is, ladies and gentlemen, you will connect to, using the website, Amazon Web Services. You can also connect to Azure, which is basically Microsoft, or you can also connect to um, Google Cloud Platform. Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Now, these are the major players in cloud. What is cloud? Cloud is that they have built massive amount of data centers, massive big data centers across the US, across the globe, ladies and gentlemen, across the globe, in India, in Qatar, in different parts of the country, European countries, right? So they built these data centers across the globe, and what they did is basically they have collected supercomputers and they put it in their data centers, racks over racks, thousands of these servers sitting in there. And using the proprietary software, they have built their own software. Using the proprietary software, they have enabled you as a consumer to come to their website and spin up any service that you need. They made servers available to you as a service. It's like a rental server shop. You don't need to buy a physical server. You can just rent it from the AWS. Now, today we're going to show you how do you go about to log into the AWS. First of all, you need to have an account on AWS website, which is backed by your credit card. And we're going to see today how we go about logging into the AWS. We're not going to show you how to create an account. We're going to show you in the paid class. And then how do you quickly create a server? And a server is called an instance. Okay. So we're going to see how we can spin up a server which is sitting in Amazon's data center, and how beautiful it is to easily spin up a server in the cloud. So all you need is a credit card, or maybe $500 limit on your credit card, and guess what? You have a full-fledged infrastructure to run your company website or any business that you want to run using the cloud resources. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm drained today, I am going to request Coach Nasser to show his magic to teach you and show you the cloud computing. This is going to be a very basic introduction. And we will see some of the cloud computing services that you guys can use, or any company can use, and under those services, basically compute is equal to servers, network, storage, and IAM, identity access management, is equal to user management. They have built this beautiful system where you can go and with a single click, you can create servers, you can create networks, you can have storage devices, and there's a section to manage your users on your domain. If you have a brilliant idea, you want to build an application, it used to be you need to rent up a space, physical space. You would bring in all the engineers over there. The networking guys would lay down the networking foundation, which is routers and switches and cabling. The systems guys would bring in the bare metal servers and they would install their servers and install the operating system. Application guys would develop the application. Database guys would bring their storage devices and work on those storage devices. Security guys will install their applications. But today, we don't need to rent a physical place. We could all be sitting in our homes, working on our brilliant idea by logging into the cloud computing website, whether it's Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. We could be working on all of these things completely remotely for a fraction of cost. But everything comes with a price. This solution doesn't require any upfront cost. You don't have to spend billions of dollars or even $100,000 upfront. You could be just looking at $5,000, $10,000 bill per month. For a company, this is nothing. $20,000 bill per month. And you could be basically launching your business online. There are so many companies out there, ladies and gentlemen, that had just had the idea. For example, Netflix. You all use this. They didn't spend any money. And they just went to these cloud computing services and they basically spin up servers they started using. And there are so many other companies out there which basically did not have any capital cost upfront, and they started their business right away. They started earning money from day first by utilizing the cloud computing. If they did not have the cloud computing, they would have to buy a lot of servers, a lot of networking equipment, cables, real estate, ACs, power bills, a lot of that. But eventually, to run things in the cloud could also be very costly. And this is a decision any organization has to make. Now, without any further delay, I am requesting Coach Nasser to go ahead and walk you through how the cloud computing feels like, how it looks like, how do we go about building a server on a cloud computing. Ladies and gentlemen, we did show you the bare metal server. We did build a virtualization environment using the Oracle. And today we're going to build a server using the cloud. And I want you to see the transition. And this is just a taste of things. We will get hands-on. We'll get our hands dirty with all of these technologies in depth. So tomorrow, when we go to any organization, we can claim that we know how to work with the bare metal, we know how to work with the VMs, and we know how to work with the cloud. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no fourth option over here. Everything either sits on bare metal, VMs, or cloud. There's nothing else out there. So we're going to teach you all of these technologies. All right? Let's go to Nasser. Coach Nasser, we're ready for you. Are you ready for us?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you,
All right. Thank you so much, Nasser.
Thank you, for the opportunity.
Appreciate you being here for me all the time whenever I need you. And I'm running out of energy and I need your help today. I'm going to be here listening to you, learning from you. And if there's any questions or anything I can help with, I'm
Please.
just one message away.
Please. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sly.
Take care.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Good evening. Sat Sri Akal, buenas noches, ni hao ma, shava shondha, and assalamu alaikum. And all the good forms of greetings. Thank you for being here once again, folks. Very happy to see, mashallah, we still have a lot of people here and they are continuing with us, their journey to future. And I'm glad that I'm part of this. And today we're going to talk about cloud, as Asad Bhai already has mentioned. So it is a very simple, and as you will see, it is going to be a very cool and very easy thing that anybody would be able to, do. I mean, obviously it has its complexities at the back end, but we will certainly address those when we go into the, deep dive mode. But for now, I'm just going to keep it very superficial, just so that we all understand, how you can, how things could be kicked off, and then how difficult it is to create a server in cloud. So, with that idea in mind, I have an account in AWS, and you see AWS, or we call them, let me pull up my good friend Paint. I like to, draw stuff from Paint. It just helps. So, whenever most of us, I mean, majority of us, can't afford to buy a house, to live in, because that's one thing is it requires a lot of capital, a lot of cash up front, huge down payment. That's what we call capital expenditure, And then on top of that, to maintain a house, the fences, the ceiling, the roof, and whole nine yards, and grass cutting and all that. So that is obviously, that's the maintenance. So there's a capital expenditure that comes with it, and then there's a operational expenditure that comes with it. So with that idea in mind, most of us live in apartment buildings, at least the ones that are in New York. Those who have houses, God bless you. But when, so you're renting apartment. So in that way, these big companies, Fortune 500 companies, they have all the money in the world. So they have their own data centers, right? Where they have their systems, where they have their servers, where they have their network devices and everything. Their whole environment is, it's their real estate. These are their assets. They have paid for it. Now they need talent to manage those assets. So that's where you and I, Asad Bhai, all of us, this is where we all come in, because we are, skilled workers. So we know how to work with this technical stuff, very complex stuff. So the capital expenditure, obviously they spent money on the real estate, the networking, the cooling, the maintenance, and all that good stuff. And then the operational, we are a cost to a company, so a lot of money. But what if me and you, person like me and you, who just have an idea and we want to create a software? I mean, we won't have money to spend on these servers, these thousands of dollars on the servers. We don't have money to spend on the, buying the physical devices, physical servers, and then buying or purchasing softwares to install on those, and then licensing, and then there's so much other stuff that comes with it, and the security and the maintenance. So it's a huge cost when somebody is trying to create a software. So for that, somebody smart at AWS, they said, you know what? Since we use all this stuff internally, the servers, the network switches, the storage devices, and everything for our own usage, we are sure there are other people out there in the world who need these devices, who need a platform, who may not have money to build a data center. Why don't we build the data center and give these people access to the operating system so they can, perform their, needs? They can create softwares, they can have servers that would perform different tasks or run applications. So why don't we do that? So this is where Amazon, they were very clever. So they were the first ones, the pioneers that came into this idea, because they were using this thing for themselves. Then they started to do it for public. And this is where the cloud came into being. And now Amazon is the biggest, cloud provider out there, or maybe Azure is the next one. So somebody like me or you who has an idea and they need to implement this, now we don't have to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars upfront. We could simply create an account with Amazon. So what would happen is Amazon would give us their, they would rent us their services. All we need to do is we need to have a credit card attached, credit card. So they can bill this credit card for, us using these services. Anything that would happen, any transaction, any services we use, they're going to charge over credit cards, and we would be able to use all of those Amazon services. So I have an account with Amazon already, and somebody has a question. Hold on. Somebody, no, it was mine. Why is my own hand up? Sorry. I don't understand why my own hand is up. Anyway, um, give me a second, lower my hand. All right. So do we understand, folks? Anybody has any confusion how we would work with Amazon? We give them a credit card and they don't charge us. Amazon is very kind. They want their services to be used. They want people to use their platform as much as they can. So they give you a 1 year of free trial. You have a free account, free tier account, as they would call it. And you could use it up to 1 year, it's thousands of hours for free. You could go ahead and test it out. You can test out the water. You can see whether if it meets your need, and then you can move forward with it. And it's relatively cheap. So can you repeat once again which part was not making sense to you? So basically, you are renting servers. You are renting anything that we have at Linoop, anything any organization has, like Bank of America, or the servers, the network or switches or applications. Amazon is letting you rent that. Okay. You could be you would be paying them as per use. So how would you be able to spin up servers or Linux machines, just like how you guys were doing in your VirtualBox? How would you do that at Amazon? We're going to see that, and you will see it is so simple and it is so easy, and it all makes sense. There's nothing that is concealed. You can see everything right there in front of you, all the options that are available. Okay. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Okay. AWS, okay, stands for Amazon Web Services. By the way, we all know Amazon, for shopping, the shopping platform, right? Yes, Amazon makes money through that too, but this is their biggest source of revenue, Amazon Web Services. Okay. Majority, you can name any company, they would have some part of their environment in Amazon, in AWS. It is so popular because it's just the flexibility, folks. There's so much flexibility. And we're going to see that actually. So let's do that. So I have this Amazon, account. This is my landing page. So the first and the foremost important thing is, when you land on this Amazon page, the very first thing you want to do, well, this is not how it would look for you when you will create an account in the, in our paid program. It will be a little different, but because I have been using it, you can see the cost usage, how much how much they're able to forecast, how much is the current cost for the resources that I've used. And if you just hover over, it tells you, well, which service was charging you, they're charging you for $1 for key management service. Okay. If you hover over the blue, which is EC2, which is the compute service, you're paying 34 cents for that. So everything is right there. Nothing is hidden. Everything is upfront, and you're able to make sense out of it. Now, soon as you land into AWS landing page, the very first thing you want to do is you want to look over this upper right corner right here. This is very important. First of all, you want to look at the user that you logged in as. Of course, your ID and billing and everything is managed here. We will see this in the, or when we delve deeper into it. But this is the important part, folks. When you click on this, these are the different regions, or these are the different data centers. You would be able to create or they're called availability zones, where Amazon services are available. So availability zone is basically like, you have, let's just say, this is world, and you have, Middle East right here somewhere, and there are few data centers, at least I think minimum of 2 data centers. That is called an availability zone. Okay. And these are connected actually with, huge pipe size wire. So for, faster performance and power and all that good stuff. These are very, availability zones. So there are different availability zones across the world. Okay. So you need to look at the availability zone or the region that you're in. Okay. So we're in the region that is Northern Virginia, US East 1. So if I create a server while I am in this region, as this is my default, any machine that I will create, will it be created in Oregon? Will it be created in Mumbai? Will it be created in Ohio? No, of course, the region that I've selected it. But what if I wanted to create a machine in, let's just say, Singapore? Or if I wanted to create a machine that is closer to people who are in, let's say, I am from Pakistan. There's no Pakistani, but the closest region to Pakistan is Mumbai, India. I can select that. And if I create it now, it will transition me into that region. I mean, now when I create a machine here, you can see that this is Asia Pacific, Mumbai. Any machine that I will create, it will be closer to people that are in Pakistan. They will be able to access it quickly. I hope everybody understands there's something called latency, latency, and there's a network latency, So if this is Pakistan and India is closer to it, and I'm here in US, any machine that gets created here, people trying to access from Pakistan to this machine, it will take a longer time, obviously. That is called latency. But if somebody's trying to access a machine that has been created inside of Mumbai region or Asia Pacific region, it will be much faster, right? Because they're closer, naturally. Yeah. So you must understand which region you're in. So I'm going to go back to my default region, which is Northern Virginia. And to see what services that are available. Remember, not all services are available in all regions, but majority of the services would be there. And of course, we were talking about the services that Amazon offers. So you click here at this square, graph-like box. I don't know. I don't think this is a hamburger, but people sometimes tell me this is a hamburger sign. Click on that. Okay. So you click here. And these are all the services that Amazon could be offering. You could go through them, each one of them, and you will be able to see a waffle. Okay, yeah, waffle symbol. You click on that, and you will be able to see them. And the most common one, obviously, that we will come to, interact with on a routinely basis is called EC2. It says virtual servers in the cloud. Okay, EC2. So as Asad Bhai already explained, a physical server, a physical server is called bare metal, right? Physical server is equal to VM or called bare metal, right? But then you have virtual machines, machines, which are found where did you create virtual machines? You created them a virtual box, right? You created them VMware. These are some ESXi. These are the platforms we created. And then there's something called instances or EC2 instances. It's all same thing. It means server at the end. And they are usually in AWS, Azure, or they are in GCP or, Oracle Cloud. I mean, there are different cloud providers out there, okay? Okay, all right. EC2. And EC2 stands for, well, there are two C's. That's why there's two there. Okay, it's actually ECC. That's what it is. So instead of having to write two C's, they did EC2. That's why they have that. And EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute or computing or whatever, or computer or whatever, what have you. But compute, that's what EC2. So in essence, all of these forms of computation, whether bare metal, whether virtual machine, whether an instance in the cloud, they all equal to what? A server, right? They are serving somebody. Somebody's accessing, somebody's leveraging these to, maybe download some data. Somebody's using this to upload something. So these machines, they are serving somebody. That's why they are all servers. And precisely so, as it says here, EC2, virtual servers in cloud. So if you click on it, you end up being on the management page of EC2 instance. And this is where you go ahead and create servers. And this is where you are able to, create them in the regions that you want to. You can attach storage and all that good stuff. Now, as you guys created your virtual machines on your virtual boxes, what did you need? You guys needed, what is that one system, one medium, one media that you need so you can install the operating system? ISO image. That's right. You need that DVD. Okay. The ISO. You guys downloaded the Oracle ISO, right? ISO image. So in AWS, it's known as AMI, Amazon Machine Image, which is the same thing as an ISO. Amazon Machine Image. Because you need something to provision or build the OS from, right? You need that. You cannot install VirtualBox on your laptop and then expect the OS or Linux or Windows to be there. You need some kind of some kind of device or USB or something so you can install OS. So in AWS world or in Amazon Web Services world, an image or ISO image is called AMI. So so far we learned a couple of jargons. And I would like to have those here just so that you guys at least are familiar. One thing that we learned availability zones, right? That's what we learned. Another thing we learned was EC2 instances, which is basically, and we just want you to be familiar with these terms. We will delve deeper down the road, okay? And then what we learned was AMI. These are some of the, some of the terms that we learned so far in the world of Amazon. Latency. Yeah, you can add latency. Yeah, latency. Yeah, sure. Why not? Latency. Latency itself basically means the delay, right? By the way, folks, English is not my first language. I had to put on this, or I had to put on this big shawl of sounding like I'm very fluent in English. So what I used to do is, I still do, is I Google some terms that I don't understand. This word latency, I had to Google find out what it meant. All right. So most of the times you will see me that I will be Googling many words that I don't understand. That is because I want you to do the same thing. We need to, adapt. We need to wear this lingo of this domain, because when you're in IT, there are certain jargons and terms that we use on routinely basis. We need to make them, we need to wear them, we need to adapt them and, embed them into our thinking. Okay. So let's see how difficult it is to build a server in cloud. You guys see, I landed into, so I went to this waffle sign, somebody just told me, or hamburger sign, whatever you want to call this icon right there, waffle icon. I'm going to stick with the waffle icon because it looks pretty and I love waffles. And waffle icon, you can click there and you can even search for any specific service you want. If you type EC2 here, it will show up here. If you type another service called EBS, you would end up, or volumes right here, or you would type, if you type security groups, or you type something like, what other service? CloudTrail. Okay, so there will be many services that will show up as long as you search something, So you're right now, or IAM. There you go. So you're concerned about EC2 at the moment, just type EC2 and it is going to go ahead and give you EC2. You can select that. S3 for storage. Yeah, exactly. Yes, S3, IAM, and there are other database services and whatnot. We're not going to get into that. We're just going to keep it simple and straightforward. You select EC2, you end up landing on this, EC2 instance management page. Now here, there are options on the left side. You can select the instances that are already there, that you have running. By the way, this is the summary, the resources that currently exist. Whether do I have any instances running, meaning any servers that are running at the moment? No, I don't. So if I go back to the dashboard, I can select the dedicated host, the key pairs that I have, the security groups. So this is another term, folks, security groups. Security group is like a firewall, okay? I'm going to add it here. Another term, security group. This is very common, security groups. This is kind of like a firewall. which allows certain traffics, which denies certain traffics. You will manage that. We will come to see that what that is. Now, so I'm going to go ahead and design it here. So of course we need a hardware, right? Where we are going to install the OS. We do need that hardware. In Amazon's world, we call it instance type. This is basically the hardware that the instance has. It's called instance type. Okay. Now, how are you going to install OS on top of this? For that, you are going to use an AMI. Okay. AMI. Now, once the OS is installed on this hardware, certain types of traffics, certain types of protocols, or certain types of services it needs to provide. So how are we going to tell? 6:55, can we have a 5-minute break? People want to have a break right now? We just started, folks. It's only been 50 minutes. I'd say let's continue. If you have to go, if you need to take a break, you can go ahead. You can step away. Don't worry. Yeah, you can go ahead. You can step away, perform your prayers. I know people are joining from other parts of the world. So if you have to go pray, please do that. We will continue. And again, this recording will be published on YouTube, and you guys will be able to access this there. Okay. Now, let's say, folks, we have taken this image and we have installed an OS on top of this. So there is a operating system that is running right here on this hardware. Okay, let's call it Linux for now. We're going to create Linux. Now, obviously, once we install Linux on it, people are going to have to connect to it. There's going to be traffic that is going to come from the internet and is going to want to connect to the system, right? It's going to want to connect to the system. But the thing is, how people are going to connect, whether they're going to use SSH protocol, whether they're going to use HTTP protocol, how are they going to connect? For that, we are going to have to create something called a security group. You guys remember this security group that I talked about, kind of like a firewall. In that security group, we are going to punch some holes for that particular protocol. So if this is, let's just say SSH, so people that are coming from the internet, they're going to end up connecting through this security group, and then it's going to allow the traffic onto the Linux that is coming from the internet. So if you also want to allow traffic that is specific for, let's just say HTTP, which is another type of protocol that allows connectivity. So people that are coming from the internet or outside that need to connect to this Linux system, they are going to connect through that security group, and then that security group is going to go ahead and allow access to this Linux system or whatever is running or services that is providing there. So this security group, SG short, is kind of like a sentinel, kind of like a watchman, okay, that basically makes sure certain people are allowed and certain people are not allowed. You know, if you have ever been to a club, I've never been to clubs, folks. Somebody just told me the story like this. They said if you go to a club, there's a bouncer there. There's a big guy. He's a big guy. You know, I'm not lying, folks. I've never been to a club. Okay. Law requires me to say that. And so there is a big guy. That basically the big guy, the bouncer, is the security group. He decides who's on the lists, on the VIPs, who's on the list, who's allowed to go in there and whatnot, you know. So this security group is kind of like that, you know, the big dude, the scary guy that maintains discipline. Okay, so this is what we need. We need an instance type, the hardware. We need the ISO image or AMI to install the OS, and then we need to select a security group that is going to allow certain types of traffic. And then once the system is provisioned, who will be able to access this instance or not? For that, we would require some keys. So there are 4 steps. We need hardware. We need AMI, the Amazon Machine Image. We need a security group. And we need the key. SSH key that we need so that we can authenticate to the system and log in. These are the only things that we need. 4 things. So with that idea in mind, with this picture in mind, we can go ahead and put it into practice and see how difficult it is for any one of you guys to spin up servers. And I bet you guys will be shocked that this is just a piece of cake. Okay. All right. So right now you guys are just watching me, but in your time, once you guys will, you guys will have a free tier account. Obviously, you need to have a credit card attached to it. Once you will have that account created, you guys will be able to perform these very tasks, just like I did. So to create an EC2 instance, where do I click here? Do I click here, placement groups? Do I click on volumes? Do I click on launch instance? Where do I click? It's right there. It's the only button that is of a different color. Launch an instance. So let's click on launch an instance. Here we are. Aha. So we are about to launch an instance. It's like launching a rocket. That when this, folks, again, I told you guys, instance. It's basically in the cloud world, it is frequently used as a the instance is often is very commonly used as, instead of saying, hey, virtual machine in cloud, they simply tell you, hey, that instance they refer to as, hey, that instance that is running in Virginia region, would you please reboot that? Would you please make changes to it? So instance is very common word that we use here. Okay. So of course, first we need to give a name or a tag and a tag to an instance. So I'm going to go ahead and call it instance, or let me call it Linoop-1. That's the name that I'm giving to this instance. Okay. Obviously, a server needs, by the way, you don't have to give it a name. AWS will assign it an automatic ID to it, but it is just better for us to give it a name. So if I say Linoop-1, so this is, I guess, -1 basically for my, or actually, you know what? There's a naming scheme. So I'm going to say L for Linux, U for USA, V for Virginia, and DB for database -01. There you go. So this is a naming scheme. L for Linux, U for actually US. Let me add US. US, VA, and then DB. So anybody that looks at the system, they know, oh, this is a Linux system based in USA, in Virginia region, and it's a database system. And this is the first instance of that. Okay. Again, every organization use US, VA, and DB, or sometimes you can call it app. So anybody that look, any naked eye could make sense of it. All right. So we've given it a name. Next, application and OS image. This is, as it says right here, Amazon machine image. We need to select that. So I'm going to keep the default one, which is free. There are certain images that are free. If you click browse more images, you will be able to see that there are certain images that you would have to pay for, and then there are certain images that are of free tier that are freely available for you to be able to use. Otherwise, other ones you will see that you will have to end up actually paying for it, and it would tell you certain price, like certain amount per hour or something like that. I mean, I don't want to get into that. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. So I'm going to stick to free tier. Okay. Or I can actually select this one. Now this is the AMI that I'm selecting for my instance. Okay. It has already selected that this is the AMI name. This is the Amazon Linux 2023 kernel 6.1 AMI Amazon machine image. Okay, if you want to browse again, you can go ahead, do it there, select there, and you should be able to. I selected from quick, you can select from quick start or any of the recent images that you've used or what have you. Okay, but all these options are there for you to be able to select an image of your choice. Hold up. All right. So we have selected an image. All right. I think there's a little lag in my clicking in my network. Let me take a look. Why? No, it should be fine now. I'm hardwired rather than Wi-Fi. It usually happens when I have Wi-Fi. So we have selected an image, folks. You can even select it here or this one or that one. You just simply click on it and that image gets selected. All right. And it kind of gives you the, information about this image. And then it gives you the description. Amazon Linux, general purpose Linux based OS that comes with 5 years of long-term support and all that good stuff that is there. Now we have selected the image. What did we need next, folks? We've got the image. Where's my good friend? We've got the image. Now we need a hardware. So this is where your instance type comes into play. Okay. You can compare instance types. If you click here, you would be able to see these. There are different types of instances, folks. Some of them are memory intensive, for memory intensive applications. Some of them are for, you can see they have virtual CPUs, the amount of memory. Then they also have GPU intensive CPUs that can cater to the GPU intensive applications. And of course, the memory, the more higher memory it has, 60 gigabytes, and the more CPUs, the more resources, obviously, folks, the expensive it's going to be, right? So you can select an instance type from here. All right. All right. So you can click there and you'll be able to select an image. Okay. The instance, the hardware of your choice. I am going to keep, the default one, T3 Micro, which is eligible for free usage. Okay. Which gives us 2 vCPUs, 1 gigabytes of memory. Okay. Current generation, true. Okay, yeah, this is sort of like the latest one. So free tier, I don't have to spend money. This is a hardware that they're giving me. They're giving me a server that has 1 gigabyte of memory and 2 CPUs. That's good enough for me, at least, to test out the waters and all that good stuff. Okay. Am I just like ISO image? That's right. It is just like an ISO image. That's what it is. Now keep here. So folks, again, we do need this key so we can access this Linux system, right? So we need to select a key if I have any. If I don't have a key, I can create a new key that I will use to connect to this Linux system. I will click on it. I'm going to give it a name. Let me call it Linoop-key. Why is this Linoop-key? My system is super slow, folks. I would want to see why is that. Oh, I see. Oh God, give me a second. Give me 1 second, folks. I have to stop this thing. I see why it is to me that I'm going to stop this. Okay, that should alleviate me. All right, so I have given a key name. I'm going to leave everything default and I'm going to hit create key. I didn't do anything. I simply gave it a name, create key. And here it is. It's downloaded key into my downloads folder right here, by the way. So you can see that I have this key. All right, I have it in my downloads folder. I just need to remember this. I have it in my downloads folder. Now, so what does that mean? That means that this key is specifically for me to be able to use to access this instance called LUSVAAP01. I will use this key to be able to connect to this. If I don't select a key, I will not be able to connect to that. So I have that key. Now, network settings. Now, this is where I'm trying to say, we were talking about the security group, well, what services do we want to allow and what do we want to deny and what have you and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and create a security group if I want to, a brand new security group. And what traffic do I want to allow? Do I want to allow SSH traffic? Do I want to allow HTTPS, HTTP, or any other traffic? And where do I want to allow from? I can select from anywhere or make a custom, incision so that I allow traffic from a certain, subnet, a certain network, a certain region, or what have you. I can limit that. And then I can create this security group. So it only allows traffic from it, but I'm going to keep just allow SSH traffic from anywhere for now. Okay. You guys will not be able to access it. Why? Even though it is available for anywhere from anywhere to be accessed, because you guys don't have this key. So this key is the, what do you call it? It's the reason I should be able to access this instance. Okay. Okay. So I'm selecting that security group. And of course, this network I talked about, once this machine is created, Once I have a hardware selected, AMI, the security, group is selected, the SSH key, once all that is done, which network does this instance need to be connected to? That I forgot to add that here. This is the network part right here. So that is where we are going to select a network that is going to connect. So for now, I've selected a VPC, a virtual private cloud, a network that this instance is going to connect to. Simple. I left it default. If I have any other, I can select those. If I had any, I would have had more options here, but I'm going to leave that default. So you've seen I didn't do much. All I did was I gave it a name to a machine. I selected an image. I selected a free tier, right here, free tier instance type, basically the hardware. Created a key by clicking on create new key pair, gave it a name. I didn't even have to bother selecting the network because it left the default. I created a security group firewall and I allowed SSH. And this is the default storage, what size. So because at the end of the day, the Linux that is going to get installed, it needs a hard drive, right? That's where Linux is going to get installed. Just like how your virtual machines on your virtual box, if you don't have a hard drive, you cannot install an operating system. So this is what that hard drive is. It's 8 GB, okay? General purpose 3. There are different types of storages that you can see that they have here. So I'm just going to leave it default. That's all I need. By the way, just for this, you see it says the number of instances I want to create. So far is only one. What if I say 50? How many instances you think I'm going to be able to spin? I'm going to be spinning in one shot just by clicking launch. With this setting, with this AMI, with this instance type, with this key pair, with this networking, with this security group, and with this storage size, I will be spinning up 50 instances, folks, in one click right here. The server that it took you to create, I don't know, maybe like what, an hour? And you guys were struggling with it. Instance is a virtual machine. That's what it is. You can do that in just simple click, 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 and specify the number of instances, and lo and behold, it's there. So I'm just going to keep it one for now so that it's relatively quicker, and then we're able to connect to this instance. Anybody lost or confused on what I just did here? It is simple, straightforward right there. You give it a name to again. If I was to do this quickly and revisit the steps that I did, I went to EC2. I searched for EC2 here. I went to EC2 dashboard. And if I wanted to launch an instance, I click on launch. And I want to give it a name. Let me change it to server 101. I select an image, the ISO image. I select the instance type. By the way, I can click here on the drop down and I can select it from here too. Okay. T2 micro, this is also a free one. I can select it here, or I can compare the instance type or when I say instance type, this is the hardware, folks. Okay. And then the key that I need to connect to this instance with, I will select the key. Remember, I created one, or you can create a new one. Select that. And you select the security group that you're going to, connect the system with, this EC2 instance with, or this virtual machine with. And when you attach the security group, what type of traffic or what type of access it should allow. For now, I just kept it, allow SSH traffic from anywhere, or I can certainly restrict it from a certain subnet or network. And what is the hard drive size that I need? I can tell it 10 gigabytes, just to be safe. So the OS, this image that we are going to use right here, this image that we're going to use to install the OS, it's going to be installed on this hard drive right here that we're selecting here. Okay. Now, also, once I have selected all my options, now I can go ahead and select whether if I want to create one instance or two instance or 3 or 4 or 5 or what have you. I'm just going to keep one for now, just so that we get to see what. Now click on launch instance, and it's as simple as that, creating a server, folks, in AWS. Now it says successfully initiated launch of instance. It gives you the ID of the instance. You can click here, or you can even click here, the instances, whatever. You click on the instance ID, and here it shows you the instance that has been launched. What is the state of the instance or the virtual machine? Folks, when I say instance, I have told you guys, instance, virtual machine, server. They are used interchangeably, okay? It means same thing, okay? Well, in IT in general, or not in IT, if you were to, let's just say if you had a, I'm going to go ahead and create. So if you have an image, let's just say, folks, if you have an image right here, everybody, those who are having difficulty understanding what is an instance, if you have an ISO image, you take that ISO image, using that ISO image, you create a one operating system on one hardware. That is your first instance. Even on physical, even on a virtual machine or on your virtual box, that is first instance. You take that same image, you create another Linux system, that is your second instance. You take that image, you create another instance, that is third instance. So instance is basically whatever is on this on this DVD ISO image running in running action, actually live, actually installed. That is actually doing, so that's what instance is. An ISO image in action is called an instance. Okay, just like what is a program? A program is basically a file which has set of instructions. Okay, that's a program. But when you take that program and you make it run, you execute that program and it does all the stuff on the computer, that is basically that is a process. That is an instance of that program. All right. I just wanted to elaborate on that. All right. So the instance is ready, folks. Your server is ready. It's ready to be connected. And what do we need to connect to the system? I can even click here on connect option. Or, of course, it gives me a public IP address. I can take this and I can connect to it too. Right. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and click on connect. And again, it's telling me which username I'm using to connect to this. And by default, it already has selected EC2 user. I will click on connect. And voila, here we are, folks. This is your Linux systems. It's been 2 minutes since this machine is up. Is this difficult? Or creating a virtual box on your laptop, is that difficult? I certainly think VirtualBox is a little kind of ambitious, but this is very simple, folks. Okay, you go ahead and create an instance. Again, the commands. Who am I? VirtualBox was easy. Okay, very good. If you found that to be easy, surely go ahead. Because people who are having difficulty, how to create a virtual machine, they were having a little difficulty for them. I think this may be another alternative, but obviously this is where we're going to talk about anyway in our roadmap, in our curriculum. But hey, this machine is here. Now, what if you want to shut this machine off or turn it off, just like what you would do on your Linux system? You would simply do systemctl shutdown, or you would simply do shutdown. The command is shutdown. All right, and this is going to go ahead and obviously. What does it say? Access denied. Do I have the access? Am I the root user? I am not. So to become root user, sudo su hyphen, I am root. Okay, shut down now. All right. This system will the machine is turning off. And if you go back to your instance dashboard, you will see this machine is running, and soon its status will change once it shuts down. Okay. And of course, it's telling you, the name of the server that we had given. And if you select that instance. Okay. So if you click on this instance or any machine that is running, you select it, folks. Right here at the bottom, you have information that is pertaining to that instance. What is it? The ID of the instance, right here. You can find it here. You can find it on multiple places. You have it here. You have it here. Okay. What is the public IP address? Okay. This is the public IP address, meaning this is something you guys can connect with. If I copy this, by the way, if I click on these double squares, it's kind of a copy icon. If I click on it, it copies. And if I go back to my mobile extern, okay, here is my mobile extern. If I need to connect to this system, I will click on SSH session. This is where I paste my public IP address and the user. Which user am I going to connect this instance with? As which user? You guys remember the name that I showed you, right? What was the name of the user that I was going to connect? If I click on connect, What is this user right here? EC2-user. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to my Mobex term, paste the username, and remember the key that I had downloaded in my downloaded folder? I will click on advanced session, SSH session settings, use a private key, and locate that key that I downloaded, which is right here in my downloads folder. I will select it. And now if I hit OK, it should allow me to be able to connect to my EC2 instance. Well, will I be able to connect to it? What have I done to my instance? I have shut it down. So, well, again, if you refresh this, instance is stopped. Okay. You want to turn it back on, you select it, you select the instance and actions. Oh, sorry, instance state, my bad, sorry. You can start the instance. Okay. Now, successfully initiated starting of this instance ID, and I am able to go ahead and connect to that. It's very simple, folks. It's way much simpler, from my opinion. I mean, I of course I would not I would not contest the ideas of people finding VirtualBox to be an easier way, but I think this is relatively easy. I think within 30 seconds or 40 seconds, I should be able to spin up an EC2 instance. So now that instance is running. Let me connect to it. I will go to SSH session, SSH, the public IP address of actually the user that I'm going to connect as. And then, of course, I need the public IP address right here, 3.235.165.2. I will copy it. I will paste that here. And I will go to advanced SSH settings because I'm using the key. So I will locate the key that I have downloaded and OK and accept. And here I am in my Mobex term. Earlier, I was connecting through, the connect option within AWS, which I click here and connect. So now I don't need like a Mobex term or PuTTY or CMD to connect because AWS realized, hey, what if the person doesn't have a CMD or those other client SSH clients? How should they be able to access this? So this is how we're going to do this. Okay. Anybody has any question? Actually, you know what? Before you ask me a question, let me launch an instance and show you how quickly it is. I click on launch instance, give it a name, server 2, select an image, select the instance type, which is default. I'm going to leave that. The key that I'm going to use to connect to this. The security group I'm going to use is, I'm going to select from the existing one that I just created, launch wizard 2. Hard drive, everything is going to be same. I'm going to launch it. Now you tell me, is this not easier than creating a virtual instance in VirtualBox or the virtual machine? And if I click on it, it's already running. I can simply go ahead and copy its public IP address, copy the public IP address, and open up my Mobex term, and then be like, need a new SSH session, paste the IP address here, specify the user, which is EC2-user, select the key that I need to connect to it, select it, locate it in my downloads folder, and voila, here we are. We are on to the next instance. I mean, come on, folks. It's no brainer. Okay. It looks super difficult. I know. It's very difficult, folks. This is the most difficult thing in the world. But you know what? Have to make accounts for AWS. It's going to be the same thing again. People not being able to log in. Folks, somebody saying you can say that now, but when the students have to make accounts for AWS, it's going to be the same thing again. People not being able to log in, not knowing which plan to use. No, of course, folks, we are going to guide you that. Dawood, we are going to. By the way, if I was to select a alias for myself, I would select Dawood. But yes, Dawood, yes, it is. It is. But you know what? Of course, that's why there's a whole team there. That's why there are mentors there to look over you and to guide you each step of the way. We are going to create account. I or whoever is in the sessions that we are going to share the screen and show you how to go about creating your accounts. Again, folks, I already have an account, but it's as simple as just like how you created an EC2 instance. It will all make sense. It is no brainer. If I mean, obviously, when there is always this fear of unseen, but hey, folks, you cannot discredit the support that you will get from this. I mean, there are people 24/7. We have uh sign by here. He's a zombie. He doesn't go to sleep, always available. When somebody needs a help, this guy is there. He eats, lives, breathes Linode. So God bless him for that. He outpaces everybody. But what I'm saying is that there's going to be support on every level that you can imagine. So for that, we are going to, advance into it. Obviously, once we are in our paid session. At this moment, uh, so this is how you create a server in AWS. Simple, as simple as that, or a Linux system. By the way, those of you who didn't want who don't have enough resources in your laptop, this is a beautiful alternative. And if folks, how about this? If I ask, how many hours are free in AWS free tier account for EC2 instance on monthly basis? Okay, 750 hours per month, folks. Hey, free, 750 hours free per month. That's crazy. So, I mean, again, folks, it's just like how you guys were able to create these instances. You can also get rid of them in that in the very speed. So right now I have these instances running. If I want, I go back to my instance landing page or dashboard, click on here, and I see I have two instances running. I am using one key that I'm using to connect them. Click on instances. By the way, I have two instances right now, and but you know what? There was something that happened, and all of a sudden, I don't see my instances, folks. Where are my instances? What happened to them? What could be the reason? I don't see my instances. They were there, two instances I just created in front of you. What happened to them? What could be the reason? Ah, come on, somebody noticed. They expired, shut down. I had given you guys this clue earlier. What to watch out for? Your region. Okay, I'm in the wrong region. Am I in Virginia? I am in Ohio now. So if I click on it and go back to Virginia, I should see two of those instances that are running. Okay. And now if I need to
Nasir
get rid,
bhai,
yes, I may.
Nasir bhai, can you show us the actions and little elaborate on that?
E-
What's the difference between stop and terminate, whether we can retain data or data will be lost upon its
Yeah,
stop or terminate?
beautiful. Yeah, that's right. So if you, I mean, obviously there's instance states, there's actions there. There are many options that let you, attach or perform different types of actions on these instances that you are running. So if you want to do something to, let's say, server 101, you select that, and all of a sudden you start seeing the metadata at the bottom. And then if you want to perform an action on an instance, what do you want to do? Instance setting. You click on it. Do you want to attach this to an auto scaling group? These are different services that Amazon provides. Change termination protection, meaning, hey, if somebody even attempts to delete this instance, they should not be able to delete this. Maybe you can change this. You click on it, here, enable it or this. As simple as that. Oh, by the way, folks, if I selected an instance, let's say, for instance, I select server 2 and go to instance state and say terminate. Basically, delete this instance. Get rid of everything, delete it. So this is going to go ahead and delete that instance. But if I didn't want to delete that instance, I want people, to be able, I want to forbid them to be able to delete. You select the instance, you go to action, instance setting, and change the termination policy, meaning enable termination protection so that if somebody tries to delete this instance too, they would not be able to delete it. So now if I select this and you do instance state, terminate, and then you say terminate, a fail to terminate, delete an instance, the instance blah, blah, blah may not be terminated. Modify its disable API termination. Again, they are giving you a warning. It's like kind of like when you're trying to, delete a file or a folder in Windows, and it tells you, are you sure you want to delete this? So it's kind of, but then even if you said, yes, I want to delete this, it will still forbid you. Okay. So we would have to select that instance, change its setting. Come on, ready to go. Instance. I have selected, not this one, this instance I selected, action, setting, and change the termination policy, and then, basically disable it. Okay. And it's warning you, the instance is no longer protected against accidental deletion. If the instance terminated, data store on ephemeral storage is lost. Okay, I don't care. That's fine. So I will go ahead and also there are other actions you can perform. You select the instance that you want to target. You can select multiple instances, and you can perform the task or action on those. So right now I'm going to select server 1 for now. Action. What other things can we do? You select on instance setting. Change shutdown behavior, change instance migration on reboot, change. Folks, many of these options, they are in very human, understandable format. Okay. Networking, maybe attach interface, attach a newer interface, meaning attach a new network card. Okay. Right now, it has only one network card, but if you wanted to attach it, you can attach another network card. Detach in network interface, you can detach and take away the interface. Connect RDS database. There are so many other services. Manage IP address for security. Change security groups. You can attach, your security groups. Where'd it go? Right here. You can attach your EC2 instance to multiple security groups if you want to. I think up to 5 security groups you can attach this to. So the traffic gets, it gets filtered through each one of these, each one of these security groups. It gets filtered until it actually gets to the instance. So you can attach multiple security groups there.
Nasser, Coach
yeah.
Nasser,
Yes, bye.
I would say just keep it at the high level for now.
Sure.
We just wanted to give the brief introduction to the cloud computing. And ladies and gentlemen, this is cloud computing. It's very easy to learn this. Right now, we're doing things using the browser, but at actual enterprise level, you would be working with the infrastructure as a code tool, such as Ansible or Terraform, to build these servers. If you're working for Fortune 100, 500 companies, you would not be using the console. You would be using a tool that will build these servers or spin up instances. And you can spin up thousands of instances using the tool called Terraform or Ansible. We will be learning Ansible in this class. We might touch Terraform as well, but no promises on that. So this is a brief introduction to the cloud computing. And cloud computing, cloud engineering, cloud systems operations, ladies and gentlemen, is a whole different topic. And we're going to teach you the fundamentals of cloud computing, because nowadays the model is such: every company on the face of earth, which is literally Fortune 100, 500, Fortune 1000 companies, they have a footprint, meaning they have presence in the cloud, meaning they have servers running on the cloud, such as AWS, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. They also have their environment running on VMware, which we're going to teach you in our class as well. And they also have a model which is called the on-prem bare metal, which is basically pure bare metal servers. So it is very essential, very important for us to learn all of these underlying infrastructure technologies, platforms that are basically running the industry, IT industry, in today's market. So this was a little introduction to the cloud computing. And some of you naturally will become solid in Linux engineering, which ideally I would want each one of you to be strong in Linux. And then some of you will pick up skills such as infrastructure as a code, meaning you will get to pick up Ansible and you will fall in love with Ansible. Some of you will fall in love with cloud computing, such as AWS. Some of you will fall in love with DevOps tools such as Docker, Kubernetes, Git. These are all fall under the DevOps umbrella, and you can actually pick an area of expertise for yourself. And but if you are multi-skilled, uh, there's a bigger market for you, and people will pay you more. People will pay you top dollars for knowing all of these technologies, because when the interviewer is looking for a resource, when they want to bring in somebody in their environment, they want somebody who is diverse in technologies, who have who wear multiple hats when it comes to technologies. So we're going to teach you multiple technologies, multiple skills, so you can get more job opportunities on the market. This was just a introduction to uh, what we're going to teach you. So now, those of you, let me just go ahead and share my screen with you guys and take a look at this over here. Funny meme over here. Those of you who are starting to work on cloud computing, take a look at this. There's a homeless guy over here, and there's a person sitting next to him just wondering what happened to you. Says, how did you end up in poverty? Were you gambling, drugs? And he's saying, I left an EC2 instance running forever, and he had to pay a $150,000 bill for this. So be careful when you're spinning up the EC2 instances on cloud, because they require your credit card. If you do not terminate this server, you could see a $1,000 or $2,000 bill monthly. Even though they have a free EC2 instance, you have to be still careful. So you need to set up the Cloud Watch, so it can send you an alert. So when we get to the cloud computing, we will teach you how to set up those alerts so it doesn't hit your wallet. Okay. So one thing. Second thing is, those of you who are going to be taking on your own journey in your hands, you're going to do solo flight, which is completely fine. The technologies we introduced you to, they are highly they are very much in demand right now. They are the hottest topics. There's a very good platform, codecloud.com. If you're not signing up for Linux course, I highly recommend you sign up for the Code Cloud, and they have a good learning platform. It's very cheap, like 20-30 bucks per month that you pay, and you can take all of these courses. What I like about them is they teach you good concepts. What I don't like about them is they don't give you realistic uh, view into the industry. You will be very good at doing labs, but you will not have an idea on how these technologies are utilized and in Fortune 100, 500 companies. You will know the command, you will run them, they will check your work as well. They have a beautiful platform, but you will not be able to explain to your interviewer how you have utilized these technologies and how you can help them with these technologies, but you will learn the technology. So at the end of the day, it's not just knowing the technology, it's also being able to present to an interviewer that will be asking you questions. And so therefore, if you don't have the funds right now and you want to learn and you like learning what we were teaching you, you can go ahead and sign up for this platform. And I think they do pretty good job teaching you all of these technologies. If you're signing up for this course and you're transitioning into the paid program, you absolutely do not want to pay extra penny to anybody, because they cannot teach you what we are going to teach you, because we are going to teach you solid skills and how to apply those skills in the industry. Everything is a perspective, okay? And if you have the right perspective, if you have the right lingo, if you have bullets that you can put on your resume, and if you can back up those bullets in the industry, then you are the top-notch talented that they are looking for. Okay. So this is your journey. Those of you that are going to take things into your own hands and you cannot afford to pay this much fees, even though it's a very fraction of what we are asking you in it's an investment in yourself. And with the $6,000, if you can land 120K salary and then you pay $19,000 within 2 years, it's a win-win situation for both parties, for us and for you.